And everybody's talking about it. Intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, extended fasts, and there are so many myths that are surrounding fasting. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Hey, y'all, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. You guys know how we do it. In this new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes. How do we put your diabetes in remission? How do we reverse diabetes, get you off of some of your medication, and get you a healthy life? And we've been using one of the tools, fasting. That's right. I have been fasting for the last several months now. We've been doing a 72-hour fast once a week. And right now, we've just passed 29 hours, right? So started fasting last night at about 6:30. Tonight at 6:30, that was 24 hours. And then we're now right at about 11 o'clock. So a little over 29 hours of fasting. That's right. And we're heading to 72 hours. And so tonight we want to talk a little bit about myths, right? So myths surrounding fasting, and to give you a check-in at our 24-hour mark. You guys know how we do. We're also going to take a look at some of my monitors, my glucose, take a look at my charts and my graphs, so you can see where I am, what my ketones are. You see I've got my my Keto Mojo, my contour meter over here, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. But if you're out there, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, in whatever space, if you're fasting, if you've been working along with us, let us know where you are. Drop that in the comment. Tell us how many hours you're fasting. Let us know what successes you've had, and perhaps how many or what challenges you've had, as well as we get into the remainder of the show. Glad that you are here and glad that you're hanging out with us. So let's take a look at some numbers, right? So let's take a look at some numbers. You'll see there on the screen that my Libre says that my blood sugar is 67, and you see the graph down at the bottom that the blood sugars have been steadily going down over the past day or so, right? So over the past 12 hours, from 12 p.m. to coming up right now about 12 p.m. 12 a.m. So that's about 12 hours. My Dexcom says that my blood sugar is 82, and likewise, you see those numbers kind of trending down as well. And we'll take a look here in just a little while to see what my monitors actually are saying that my blood sugars are. But as we do, let's go ahead and do a little quick check-in. And as I always say, I talk about my physical, my mental, and my emotional state. Physically, I'm feeling well. I was a little tired. As I told you before, we want to make sure that as we're getting into the fast, that we are rested, that we're well rested. I talked to someone today in the office, and I was telling them they wanted to use today as a fast. And I said, hey, did you rest? Did you prepare to go into this fast? Because if you don't, then you can have a difficult time, and the fast doesn't go like we intend, and then we kind of short circuit things, right? Because the brain and the body says, okay, we're not doing that again. So I did a good job of preparing for the fast. Yesterday, I delayed the fast. You know, I normally start at about 6 o'clock. I delayed it by half an hour because I wanted to eat and have a good meal. And I normally have a meeting leading up to the fast. Yesterday, I once again did an extended the time for my eating window so that I can eat well and get into the fast. But feeling physically well, I'm not lightheaded, not dizzy. As you know, sometimes people, as their blood sugars begin to go down, or as they get into the fast, they feel lightheaded, dizzy. Often those are people who are still on medications, and the medications continue to drive the blood sugar down. So, for instance, the person that I was talking about today, I had them actually suspend some of their insulin today as we got into the fast. Okay, so you may need to adjust medication. Remember, you're always doing this under the guidance and under the supervision of your healthcare provider, right? So that's physically. Mentally, also feeling quite clear. This also goes back to resting, right? Making sure that you are well rested, because when you're well rested, then you have the mental capacity, you have the energy, you have the wherewithal to make it through the fast, because some of it is a mental issue, some of it is an emotional issue. As we've talked about before, our triggers, the things that push us in the direction of eating, are habits, emotions, access, and taste. And those emotions, y'all, can be very powerful. They can override so much. And if we are not rested, then that affects our mental clarity, and that in turn affects how we get into the fast or how we proceed in the fast. And so right now, feeling quite clear. I came home tonight and sat down and began preparing for this. Talked to my son, talked to my wife, and feeling good. Emotionally, this past week, as you know, was a bit of a challenging week because they had a lot of things going on. It was homecoming, alumni weekend here at our school. We hosted dinner and had a lot of other functions that were going on. So coming out of that, the anxiety level came down, and moved into this. I have several things that are going on this week as well. But I think I did a better job of preparing my mind for it. And so emotionally, actually feeling pretty good right now. Okay. Not feeling anxious, not feeling worried about anything, not feeling angry or upset. So right now doing well. And I have I was going to say I did a good job of not putting a lot of stress on myself for this week as I got into the fast. But there are a few things that are on my mind. I've got a few things that I've got to do coming up here on Friday and some scheduling issues. But it is not as intense as it was last week. Okay, so emotionally, actually feeling pretty good. Connected with patients today. Team is doing well, family is doing well. So that's physically, mentally, and of course, emotionally feeling well right now. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look at monitors, right? So once again, this is my Dexcom, and this is my Libre. And as you have seen before, the Dexcom and the Libre will tend to have different numbers. Sometimes they're close to each other, sometimes they're not that close to each other, but that's where we are right now in terms of what they're showing. Let's take a look, and let's hop over and actually take a look at what my monitors, my finger stick monitors, are showing. So let's start. Let's get one of these out. So we use in my office the Contour meter. That's what we use to check blood sugars. And so I have one of those here. Get a strip in there. Let's go ahead, and also in my Keto Mojo, we're going to do that test strip. All right. And get my Lancet. So we'll get a drop of blood. And let's see what we got. Okay, there we are. I didn't think I got a good drop, a good stick that time, but I guess I did. All right. So what do you think the blood sugars are going to be? So a little over 29 hours of fasting. Let's see what those will show. And 80 for the Keto Mojo, 76 for the Contour. And you'll see on the screen there as well, my Libre says that I'm 69. Okay, 69 right now. And I'm going to go ahead and pop the, go ahead and get that keto strip in there. But I'm going to let that start running, but I'm not going to show you what that shows. Right? So we're going to pop over here because I want you to see if you can predict what that's going to be. And we'll come back and we'll look at that here in just a minute. while we talk about some other things. Let me pull that over really quickly into my app, into the Keto Moja. As you know, the Keto Moja app is what I use to track all of that, and of course the Contour app as well. So let me go ahead and sync that over. All right. So while that's doing, and while you're out there and you're guessing what do you think my monitor is going to say that my ketones are, so fasting, right? So fasting is one of those things that has been practiced for millennia, right? It's been intertwined with various cultural, religious, and health-related practices. Numerous myths have surfaced as the popularity of fasting has gone up, particularly as it relates to health and wellness. Okay? So understanding the evidence behind these myths is crucial, especially for individuals looking to improve their health by reversing type 2 diabetes. Remember, that's what we're talking about. And so fasting can significantly improve insulin sensitivity, blood sugar levels, and overall health. So what are some of the myths that we hear or that we see? And there's a list of several of them. We're going to go through these here. And, we'll talk about them and give some ideas and thoughts about them. And we may come back later and do more in-depth discussion about any of these. But the first one is that fasting leads to muscle loss. Fasting leads to muscle loss. And the reason for this, the concern is that fasting causes muscle loss as the body is supposedly going to go now to burn muscle for energy before it utilizes the fat stores, right? So remember, that's the idea that, hey, my body, now that I'm not giving it the carbohydrates, now that it doesn't have the glycogen, that my body is going to go and burn protein, which is the muscle, and that's what it will use for energy. And the fact is, fact number one that you'll see there, so research shows that the body primarily breaks down fat for energy during a fast. Remember, we have, on the average person, I think the statistic is that the average person has about 100,000 calories in excess. And so the body is actually pretty intelligent. It's not going to burn protein, which is the structural part of itself, before it burns this excess energy that it has, right? So myth number one is that, fasting is going to burn protein or burn muscle. And the fact is that the body is smart enough to know that it should not burn the structure before it goes ahead and burns stored energy, right? So the glycogen stores in the liver are typically utilized first, and then fats are used. And after that, the body really only gets to burn protein once all of those are depleted. Okay? So protein from muscle is usually not a significant source of energy until the glycogen is gone, until the fat's gone, and until we are now in a state where the body says, wait a minute, I don't have anything else. And in fact, during fasting, growth hormone increases, right? And growth hormone is something that supports muscle maintenance and muscle growth, right? So that's myth number one, that fasting burns protein and burns muscle, right? Myth number two, and actually let me hop back over this way so we can. Here we go. So myth number two is that fasting slows metabolism. Okay? Fasting slows metabolism. And the concern there for metabolism is that as we fast, the body slows down the metabolism, right? Making it harder to lose weight in the long run. Right. So as the body says, hey, wait a minute, you're not giving me more energy. And so what it does is it goes and it slows down metabolism. Well, studies have demonstrated that fasting can increase metabolism between 3.6 to 14% in the short term. And this is likely due to the fact that the body increases its adrenaline, if you will, because it's heightening the ability to process. It's heightening the ability to utilize other forms of energy. This is one of the reasons why it's so beneficial to go into ketosis, because the body is utilizing that as the store, right? And strategic eating, as we are doing, for instance, people who do intermittent fasting, people who time restricted fasting, people who do 36 hours or 48 hours, right? If we're eating strategically and exercising, particularly focusing on protein intake when we're eating and then strength training, this can further ensure that metabolism remains active and engaged. Okay? So initially the body, this norepinephrine comes out, and perhaps in a longer fast, the body perhaps slows down a bit. But if we do a good job of eating well, maintaining protein intake, and strength training, then that maintains the metabolism, and so we're not going into this slow metabolism as everyone talks about. Okay. All right. Myth number three has to do with the belief that fasting will lead to overeating. Fasting leads to overeating. And the idea here is that because of this intense hunger that people will feel, that they end up eating and negating everything that happens before. Now, if you've been here with me and if you've been listening to me, you know that I talk about the fact that the pre-fast or preparing for the fast itself, and breaking the fast are all equally important, right? So while individual responses to fasting can vary, many people find that their hunger levels decrease after the first few days, or actually several hours of the fasting regimen. For example, I am 29 hours in, and perhaps those first couple of hours I may have felt and once again, this idea of hunger, we have to talk about what hunger means. But I may have felt those pangs of, okay, maybe I'm hungry, but that went away quickly, right? Intermittent fasting, for example, can also naturally reduce calorie intake. So when we're fasting, we're naturally taking in less calories, right? As the eating in those times is confined to a smaller window of time. And then mindful eating, these practices, and we've talked about that here on this channel, on this show, and focusing on nutrient-dense foods during the eating window, during the eating period, can also prevent overeating. So you're preparing for the eating. And remember, one of the big things that also pushes us in that direction is going back to our HEAT model. The HEAT model says that a lot of it is our brain. Our brain is telling us that, hey, it's time to eat. Or, hey, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm glad, it's time to eat, right? Or the access, things are just there, or the taste. And so if we use our emotional intelligence, that EI that we talked about several shows ago, if you use that emotional intelligence, then you are aware of what's going on in your body. And so you're able to overcome and or compensate for those things that may push you to overeat following a fast. And it's usually not the fact that you are hungry. Okay? So myth number four, there's this concern is usually surrounding fasting leading to dangerous drops in blood sugar. So people say that fasting is not good for diabetics, right? So that's usually that's myth. That's one of the myths. Myth number 4. Fasting is not good for diabetics. And this usually surrounds what they think is dangerous for diabetics in terms of the blood sugar drops. And so while caution and medical supervision are advised, particularly for those on medication, right? As I've always said, you've got to adjust your medication. that can induce hypoglycemia. So people who are on medications that can cause hypoglycemia, fasting can be beneficial even in those people. When done correctly, fasting can improve insulin sensitivity, which is the whole idea behind the reversal of the diabetes. And it can help people manage and even reverse type 2 diabetes. So adjustment in medications and careful supervision has to be a part of the process. So that is essential. Okay. So not that, hey, we just start fasting without any concern for medications that we may be on or other things that are going on. We have to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do in terms of adjusting medication and all the things that go along with that. Okay. All right. And then myth number 5, fasting is a one-size-fit-all solution. Fasting is a one-size-fit-all solution. And you know, without me even saying anything, right, that's not true, right? So it's often believed that fasting offers a universal key to weight loss, enhanced health, and longevity. And while fasting is amazing, the truth of it is that fasting has to be individualized, right? That's the beauty of fasting. There are people that are out there that can fast for 72 hours. Some can fast for 48 hours. Some can fast for 24 hours. Some people can make it to 18 and 6. And so the beauty of fasting is that it can be adapted and tailored to individual needs. Okay? So rather than a one-size-fit-all approach, fasting can be customized to fit various lifestyles, health statuses, and preferences. So there are people who, there are certain food types, there are certain food restrictions, there are certain food allergies that they have. And so we've got to be able to tailor what we do to compensate for those types of things. So the flexibility in fasting allows each person to explore different facets of fasting, different types of fasting, whether it's intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, periodic fasting, longer fasting, right? And this allows them to discover what's working best for their bodies and for their goals. Right? So it is not a one-size-fit-all. It is an amazing tool, but we got to listen to our bodies and allow the body to tell us what's going on and make adjustments accordingly. So in conclusion, as we talk about, that's number 5. Conclusion, as we talk about fasting, right? When approached with a critical understanding and proper medical guidance, fasting can be a powerful tool in improving health, particularly for those looking to manage or reverse diabetes, right? That's what we're talking about. But not just that. Remember all the other disease processes, all of the other issues that people will find themselves in. And let me pull that up really quickly as we talk. Right. So people who have metabolic syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome, people who have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, people who have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, at risk for coronary artery disease and strokes, and on and on and on and on, those disease processes improve also during fasting. Right. So when done properly, it can have amazing benefits for people as they are sorry, I clicked on that. As they are in the process of improving their health. Okay. So we want to make sure that you know that fasting is beneficial. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So back here. So yes, fasting can be done. Everyone should consult healthcare provider to ensure safety and effectiveness, especially those with underlying health conditions. So make sure that you're out there and that you are doing what you need to do in conjunction with your healthcare provider. Awesome. All right. Let's see. So I think I saw someone popped in, and let me just say hi. So Jeff, thank you for stopping by. Jeff said, I'm guessing that I think you're guessing my ketones are going to be 1.3. Well, we'll come and look at that just a minute, Jeff. and see what see if you're right where we need to be. And then for those of you who are on Instagram, thank you for stopping through. Let's take a look quickly at my graphs. You'll see there over the course of the last 2 weeks, 14 days, this thing says that my average blood sugar is 102. So a good number. And my glucose management indicator is a 5.8, meaning that the estimate of my A1C is a 5.8. I am in target 94% of the time, and the target right there is 70 to 180, right? 70 to 180 is what this says I am in. And let's take a look at some of our graphs, and I want to go back and take a look starting on Tuesday. And so we started fasting Tuesday about 6:30, so right in here. And at that time, my blood sugar was 114. And so this afternoon, 24 hours later, right at 6:30, my blood sugar was 82. Okay. And then, of course, coming into the evening. Now, that right there was probably, actually, I'm not sure what that spike was. You see that? You guys see that? Ah, okay. Yeah, when I came home, I took a shower and brushed my teeth. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Wow, wow, wow. Okay, yeah. It's right about there. I'm going to have to check that toothpaste. I've not looked to see what the content of the toothpaste is. But anyway, so that's where I am right now. My blood sugar going back to my monitors. This guy says that my blood sugar is 73. And drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Let's take a look and let's see what my Keto Mojo says that my blood sugar was and what my ketones were. And Jeff says 1.3, and this guy says 1.1. Look at that, Jeff. You were pretty close. I like that. Let me give you a hand clap and some music for that one. Okay, so at 29-ish hours, ketones are 1.1 with a glucose of 80. So love it, love it, love it. All right, y'all. As we do, let's talk a little bit about our platform, right? So Triple E Formula for Success, the Triple E Formula for Success. This is the platform on which we are doing what we're doing here, right? We're teaching. So we're educating, we're empowering, and we're encouraging. Education, the shows that we do, the website, the blog, the all the teaching material that we have available. We're educating. You cannot change things. You cannot adjust. You cannot grow without education. And that's what this does. We empower by giving you tools, the tools that we're doing, intermittent fasting or fasting, extended fasting, time-restricted eating. All those are tools that we are using in the process of empowering ourselves. The emotional intelligence, the ability to look at medications and decide which medications we should not be on. The heat model that we've been using, and we'll come to that in just a minute. All those are tools that we want you to be able to use as we are reversing diabetes and improving our health. And then we encourage, right? That's the community. Encouragement comes from the community as part of your process, the process of being empowered, the process of growing, the process of expanding, the process of getting better and improving your health. Community, so important. They say if you want to go somewhere, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, take somebody with you. And so that's part of the community. We also use our heat model. These are the things that will interrupt, if you will. They will throw a wrench in. They will derail us as we are moving through the process of making healthy choices. Particularly as we talk about food, these are triggers for food triggers, but these triggers work elsewhere as well. So habits, emotions, access, and taste. We eat because of habit, because it's 12 o'clock, because it's the movies, because we're hanging out with friends, because. We eat because of emotions. We're happy, we're sad, we're lonely, we're tired, right? So remember that acronym, don't be too halt, too hungry, too angry, too lonely, too tired. Those things will push us in the direction as well. Access. Right here on the shelf, I have some almonds, right? And you guys have heard me talk about my almonds and my cashews. Sometimes they're there and we eat just because they're there. Not because we're hungry, not because our blood sugars are low. It's just, it's sitting on the table, it's sitting on the counter, it's sitting on the shelf, and we eat because of that. And then we eat because of taste, right? Remember those three things: the right component of fat, of carbs, sugar, of salt, right? The food that's created, the manufacturers put those together just in such a way that you cannot say just I'll have one. The other thing is that, remember, we're never really I shouldn't say never really. So often we are not chasing the food. We're not even chasing the thing that the food gives us in terms of taste. What we're chasing is the memory, the feeling, the hormones that come from the food that we're eating. Okay? It's kind of like I say, when I go to New York, I go get a hot dog because it reminds me of being in New York, of living in New York, being over there, hanging out with my dad. Get Chinese food, get a slice of pizza. Why? Because that reminds me of growing up in New York. So the HEAT model, habit, emotions, access, and taste. And always, always, always our call to action, right? My challenge to you is this. Number one, join our challenges. All the things that we do on the show, they are with the intention of moving you in a direction where you can be successful in your health journey. Our challenge for this month is to construct a meal, a healthy meal that has just the right components of starchy foods, non-starchy foods, protein, right? Healthy, lean protein, healthy fats. That is the appropriate portion. Let me say that again. Some starch, some starchy food, some non-starchy food, combining those with healthy fats, with lean protein, that is the right portion size that tastes good. So that's your challenge for this month. You've got a month to do that. That's what we gave the challenge on Monday. So join the challenges, right? These challenges are pushing us in the right direction. Number two, share your story. Come on the show. Let us know the successes you're having. Let us know the challenges you're having. As you give us that information, the community gets better. The community is only as strong as you are. As you share your story, as we interact together, as we grow, we get better. Okay, iron sharpens iron is what they say. And then invite a friend. You can be the voice for change in your family. You can be the voice of change in your surrounding. You can be the voice that helps your community get better, to reverse their diabetes, to improve their health, to get off of medication and be better. Okay? So send a link to someone. Let them know that we are here and that we want them to be part of what we're doing. All right. As always, glad that you were here. Glad I was able to spend some time with you. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood, y'all. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, creating the life you've always wanted. And then this year, new year, new you. We'll see you at our next check-in tomorrow, and we'll see what our blood sugars are doing. Have a great one. Drop us a note. Let us know you're out there, and let us know what benefits you're getting. Let us know what challenges you're seeing, and let us know also the successes. Good night.